What is the first word on our list? Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Is peculiar.
Okay. Mohammed, can you say that word? How do you pronounce that word?
Peculiar.
Okay. All right. So, Pachu, I'm just going to say that word. What is the second vowel sound? Peculiar. Peculiar. Q.
Peculiar.
E-E-U. Q. Q. You start with a smile and you finish with a kiss. Q. Q.
You peculiar.
That's
Peculiar.
yeah, that's better. Peculiar. Peculiar. Peculiar.
Peculiar.
Have you seen that?
Peculiar.
Do you know that word, Pachu?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What does that mean?
It's strange.
Strange. Not strange, strange. Just like great. It's that same sound. Strange. Great.
Strange. Strange.
Hmm. Have you seen that word before also, Mohammed?
Yes.
Okay. So you're both familiar with it. Mohammed, can you read the first four words of that sentence?
The house had a.
The house had a. The house had a. What are the sound? Where's the big word in there? Where's the sound with the big word?
House.
Can you say that phrase again?
The house had a.
The house had a. So you've got small, big, small. The house had a. Say it again.
The house had a.
Can you say that, Pachu?
The house had a.
The house had a. The house had a. What are the next two words, Pachu?
Is peculiar.
Mm-hmm. And the next word?
Smell.
How will you say those two words together?
Is peculiar smell.
Okay. Which word do you think is bigger in that phrase? Peculiar or smell?
Is peculiar.
Why do you think that should be bigger?
Because it is an adjective.
Yeah, so you make it
And
you pronounce it in a you pronounce it in a bigger way because it's an adjective. That's right.
yes.
And which syllable do you think we should pronounce in a big way?
Peculiar.
Q, Q, Q,
Peculiar.
Q.
Yeah.
Peculiar smell. Peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
The house had a
Peculiar.
peculiar smell.
The house had a peculiar smell.
Muhammad, can you say that?
The house had a peculiar smell.
Peculiar, peculiar house, house, Q. The house had a peculiar smell.
The house had a peculiar smell.
Yeah, we're just building our big, small, big, small, big, small rhythm. What are the next two words, Muhammad?
That I.
Okay. Do you think that those should be pronounced in a big way or a little way?
Little way.
Okay. So we can add that. We can make smell, that, and I like one word. Smell that I. Smell that I.
Smell that I.
Smell that I.
Smell that I.
It's like one word. The house had a peculiar smell that I.
The house had a peculiar smell that I.
Okay. Pachu, can you say that? The house had a peculiar smell that I.
The house had a peculiar smell that I
Okay. And what are the final two words, Pachu?
couldn't identify.
Which word do you think is more important? Couldn't or identify?
Identify.
Uh, I don't know. I think I would like to. let's see. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify. It could be either one,
Not
but for some reason I like couldn't more.
oh yes.
I know that I tell you it's usually the final word, but that's why I say usually because sometimes it isn't.
Yes.
I don't know. It just to me, like when I hear it in my head, I like emphasizing that there's no rule to this. Okay, so it's really
Yes.
you can be creative, but I just think it sounds better if you say couldn't big.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll emphasize the could part.
And also think that it has negative. Yeah. So we should stress on it.
The stress on what? On the could you mean, or on the nt?
Yeah. And
Like couldn't. Do you know? It's funny. I was reading in a book that normally you do not. You normally wouldn't. It doesn't make sense, but you normally would not stress the negative part. Isn't that weird? I can't tell you why,
yes.
but
Yes.
I
It's
was reading
weird.
because it makes sense that you would do that, but normally we don't. I'm not sure why that isn't. That is like the house isn't big. You barely hear the int part. The house isn't big. It's just a little sound, right? That's very normal.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Do you, maybe we could let's see. I couldn't identify. No, I wouldn't, I wouldn't even emphasize anything in identify. It sounds a little bit too it sounds fake. So it's
Okay.
couldn't identify. Couldn't identify.
I I couldn't identify. I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Peculiar or peculiar? Which one is better?
Peculiar.
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 Peculiar. Okay. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify. Try.
The house had a the house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. Mohammed, can you say the entire phrase?
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify. Say it again.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. How many phrases do you think we could separate this sentence into, Mohammed?
Two phrases.
How many?
Two phrases.
Okay. Which is the first phrase?
It will end at a smell.
It ends at smell. So let's separate that. Okay. Now, in the first phrase, the house had a peculiar smell. What do you think is the most important word?
Peculiar.
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 That's a hard word to say. Uh, do you want this phrase to sound serious or happy and friendly?
Happy and friendly.
Happy and friendly. Okay. So that means we should use a high tone. We should say peculiar. We should put a high tone in there, but it's the end of a phrase, so we also have to make it low because it's the final part of a phrase. So we'll say peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
How should the phrase start? Should it start with a high tone or a low tone?
Oh,
High. Okay. The house had a peculiar smell.
the house had a peculiar smell.
Panchu, can you say that phrase?
The house had a peculiar smell.
Okay. What about the final phrase, Pachu? How would you like that to sound? Do you want to sound serious or light?
Serious.
You want to sound serious? Okay. So instead of going high, we'll go low. But how should we start our phrase? Should the phrase start high or low?
The high.
Okay. That I couldn't identify. That I couldn't identify.
That I couldn't identify.
Mhm. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Mohammed, can you say the entire phrase?
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. Mohammed, can you make a what kind of smell house have question?
What is the smell that the house have?
What kind of? What kind of? What kind of?
What kind of smell that the house have?
Okay. Are we talking about the past or the present?
That the house
Okay. So
had.
how will you make the question in the past?
What kind of smell that the house had?
How do you if you have okay, here's a sentence. The house had a. Okay, that's our phrase. The house had a. How will you make a yes no question? A basic question with the house had a.
Did the house have a?
That's right. That's your question form. Now you can say what kind of smell.
What kind of smell does the house?
No, we're talking about
Uh,
the past. What remember that had.
did
Go ahead.
what kind of smell? What kind of smell that the house have? Did the house have?
Did the did the did the
Did the house have?
did the house did the house did the house.
Did the house
What kind of smell
have?
did the house have? Again?
What kind of smell did the house have?
The or the? The house or the?
The the house.
Okay. What kind of smell did the house have? Again?
What kind of smell did the house have?
Okay. What is in that question, what kind of smell? What do you think is the most important word in that phrase? What kind of smell?
What
Well, if you have like a single word question, what time is it, or when are we leaving, then maybe you would focus on that wh word. But this is a phrase. This is what kind of. And so what is the most important word in that phrase? What kind of?
what
Kind.
kind
So suddenly when you have a phrase, the rules change, and then you have to say kind. What kind of? What kind of smell?
what kind of smell did the house have?
Uh-huh. One more time.
What kind of smell did the house have?
Pachu, can you make that question?
What kind of a smell did the house have?
What kind of smell did the house have? Okay. And what is the answer, Pachu?
The house had a peculiar smell
Okay. That I couldn't identify.
that I couldn't identify.
Mohammed, what kind of smell did the house have?
Peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Yeah, tell me the whole sentence. Tell me the complete sentence.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house or the house?
The house.
The house. Okay. That I couldn't or that I couldn't?
Sorry?
That I couldn't or that I couldn't?
That I couldn't.
Right, right. So tell me again. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. Pachu, can you see the sentence that I have up on the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Now, have you ever seen this word before? Asinine.
Mm,
Hello?
yes, sir.
Do you know that word? Have you ever seen that word before?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you have to be careful because it's a very, very strong word. It's not a bad word. It's not a word that you're not allowed to say, but it's very strong. It means extremely stupid. So it's a very insulting word to be used. Okay, but it just
Yes.
means very, very stupid. It's a strong, strong word for stupid. Okay? Asinine.
Yeah.
Can you read the sentence, Pachu? What is the sentence?
She regretted her asinine decision to skip study for the test.
Do you understand the sentence? Does that make sense?
Mm, so she regretted because she skipped the study for the test.
And that was a very, very stupid decision. Really stupid.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Does it
Yes.
make sense?
Yes. Got it. Yes.
Mohammed, have you seen that word before? Asinine.
This word, no.
Okay. Just remember to be careful because it's a very strong word. So only use it when something
Okay,
is extremely stupid. Okay?
okay.
Mohammed, can you say the first three words of that phrase?
She regretted her asinine
Oh,
decision.
just the first three words. Just the first
Uh,
three
she,
words.
she, she regretted her. She
Okay.
regretted her.
Okay. That's right. Her will sound like She regretted her. She regretted her. What's the biggest sound in that phrase? She regretted her.
Right,
Let's see. It's not she regretted her. It's she regretted her. Which sound is big?
regretted.
Gre, gre, gre,
Right,
gre. So that's the accented syllable of gret, regret, regret. So it's not regret, it's regret, regret.
regret.
hmm So this phrase sounds like this: regretted. She regretted her. She regretted her.
She regretted her.
hmm Say it one more time.
She regretted her.
Pachu, can you say that phrase?
She she regretted her.
Regretted her. Make that a big sound. That gre in the middle is very big. She regretted her.
She regretted her
Okay. What are the next two words, Pachu?
asinine decision.
Every time you say that word, I have to laugh because it's kind of rude. You have to be careful about that word. Okay. So I got distracted. I already gave you the answer for asinine. The first sound is very big.
Okay.
Asinine, asinine.
Asinine.
She,
Asinine.
she regretted her asinine.
She regretted her asinine.
Okay. What about decision? Is there a big sound in there?
Yes.
Where is it? Decision,
Decision. Season.
decision,
Se-
decision,
decision. Season.
decision,
Yes. Siege.
decision, decision. Okay. So we'll make that big. So we're building our big, small, big, small, big, small rhythm. She regretted her asinine decision.
She regretted her asinine decision.
Okay. Mohammed, can you read that whole phrase? She regretted her asinine decision.
She regretted her asinine decision.
Okay. What are the next three words?
Is asinine a rude word?
It's rude because it's very strong. Okay, it's not a bad word. It's not an offensive word. It's just offensive because it's very strong. It means extremely, extremely stupid.
There is another word like Jack. First word is Jack. Is it the same category?
You mean like jerk?
No, no, Jack.
How do you spell that?
Jack as
Can you write it in Discord? I'm not sure which word you're saying. Oh, jackass. Okay. 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 The word ass, ASS. Hope I don't get in trouble with YouTube. That means like a donkey. Do you know what a donkey is?
yes.
Okay. So really, the meaning of ass is just a donkey, which is famous for being a stupid animal. So
Okay.
the word jackass is offensive because you're calling someone. It's like calling someone an. It's like calling someone an idiot.
But why it's Jack?
I don't know why. Well, let's see. Let's ask ChatGPT. That's a good question. But now you have to remember that when you have two words that are together, you always. This is why I couldn't understand you. Is the first word has to be bigger than the second word, so you have to say jackass.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see. Jackass originally a generic name for a male animal like John Doe. Okay. It's just a word that means like a male donkey. That word jack is just a word that you put in front of ass to mean it's a male donkey and not a female donkey. That's all it means. Okay, so it doesn't have any
Okay.
special meaning. Okay,
Okay.
but jackass, that's not nice. Well, also asinine isn't, but it's not a bad word. It's not like an offensive word. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's offensive because of the meaning, but it's not like saying "oh f" or "oh sh." Like it's not like saying "oh fudge" or "oh shoot." It's not those words. Okay, do you understand?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so it's bad, but it's just because the meaning it means extremely stupid.
Okay.
All right. So she regretted her asinine decision to skip studying. Uh, can you say
Sh-
those three words to skip studying?
Skip studying.
Which word do you think is in that phrase? Which word would you make big
Studying.
to skip studying? You know, I think it's skip. I think I would emphasize the word skip here. I think that's an important word to skip studying. Skip studying. Skip studying. Study. It's funny because we could make this kind of big in study. Let's do both. Let's say skip studying. Can you try
Skip
that?
studying.
Skip studying.
Skip studying.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
Pachu, can you say that whole phrase?
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying for the test.
Okay. Now, in that final phrase, for the test, what is the big word?
Is a test.
Okay, so you say for the test. For the test. For the
for
test.
the test.
Mhm.
For the test.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying for the test.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying for the test.
Okay. Now, how many phrases do you think you could divide that sentence into?
So she regretted her asinine decision,
Okay.
yeah, and then to skip studying for
Okay.
the test.
All right. Now,
Yes,
in the first phrase, she regretted her asinine decision. What is the most important word?
as a asinine decision.
Okay. Uh, let's. Which one should we focus on, asinine or decision? Which do you prefer?
Asinine,
Okay, because it's an adjective, right?
yes.
The thing is, it's such a strong word that it sounds extra bad if you emphasize that. She regretted her asinine decision. But okay, we
She
can
reg-
go ahead.
yeah, yes. She regretted her asinine decision.
And how do you want to sound? Do you want to sound happy or serious when you say this?
Mm, not serious.
Okay, so you want to sound light or friendly?
Yes,
Okay, so we'll say this in a high way, but because we have the end of the phrase here, we're also going to have to go low by the time we get to decision, right?
yes.
So, asinine decision.
Asinine decision.
Asinine decision.
Asinine decision
How should our phrase start? Should it start high or low?
is a high.
High, because phrases normally start high. So, she regretted her asinine decision.
She regretted her asinine decision.
Mohammed, can you say that phrase?
She regretted her asinine decision.
Okay, now if we take a look at the next phrase, what is the most important word? Do you think skip or studying is more important?
Skip.
Skip, okay. And how do you want to sound? Do you want to sound serious or light and friendly?
Friendly.
Friendly? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll try to keep the high tone as much as possible. It's a pretty short phrase. So maybe we can keep all of this high, but we should end low because most phrases end low. So to skip studying, to skip studying.
To skip studying.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
Pachu, can you read the whole thing?
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
To skip studying. Okay. She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying.
Okay. And for the final phrase, Pachu, how do you want to sound? Do you want to sound light or serious?
The test, so it is serious.
Serious? Okay.
Yes,
Okay, but we have to start high because it's the beginning of a phrase. So we'll make that high. But then when we get to test, we'll make that low.
yes.
All right. For the test. For the test.
For the test. For the test. For
She,
the
re-
test.
she regretted her asinine decision to skip studying for the test.
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying for the test. For the test.
Muhammad, can you read the entire phrase?
She regretted her asinine decision to skip studying for the test.
Mm-hmm. Muhammad, can you make a why she skipped study for test question?
Why did she regret her
Let's
asinine
no, let's just do
decision?
why she skipped test. Why she skipped test.
Why did she skip the test?
Okay, again.
Why did she skip the test?
Now, in that phrase, in that question, what is the most important word?
Skip.
How about why? Because it's a question.
Why?
Why? Yeah, because you're making a question, and you want to know the reason, right? So you focus on the word why. Why? Why?
Why did why?
hmm How does why plus did plus she? How does that sound?
What did she?
Okay, but why is a very important word. Do you agree?
Yes.
So we have to say it in a big way. Why did she?
Why did she?
Why did she? Why did she?
Why did she?
And then skip, that's another important word. Why did she skip?
Why did she skip?
Why did she skip the test?
Why did she skip the test?
Mm-hmm. Pachu, can you make that question? Why did she skip the test?
Why did she skip the test?
Okay. And let's see. The answer is because she makes asinine decisions. Because she always makes asinine decisions.
Because she always made asinine decision.
So she skipped the test because she always makes asinine decisions. Can you say everything together?
She skipped the test because she made asinine decision.
She always makes asinine decisions.
Because she always made asinine decisions.
Okay, don't forget to whistle when you say she. She.
She.
She skipped the test because she always makes asinine decisions.
She skipped the test because she always made asinine decision.
Mohammed, can you? Why did she skip the test?
She skipped the test because she made an asinine decision.
She always makes asinine decisions. Try again.
Because she did an asinine decision.
She always makes
She always make she always makes she always makes
asinine decision.
an, an asinine decision.
Okay. Well, we're not saying an asinine decision, not one. It's her habit. Those are the only kind of decisions she makes. So it's plural. She always makes asinine decisions.
She always make asinine decisions.
Okay. Pachu, what is the final word for today?
Is a trivial.
Trivial. Do you know that word? Have you seen that before?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Means not important.
Okay. Have you seen that word before, Mohammed? Trivial?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Pachu, can you read the first three words of that phrase, of that sentence?
Okay, sir. We shouldn't argue.
Okay. If you were just going to make one of those words big, which word would it be?
Is argue.
Okay. Now I'm going to say that word, and I want you to. There are two syllables in that word. Which syllable has the big sound? Argue. Argue.
argue,
Argue. Which syllable has the big sound? Argue.
are,
That's right. Can you say the word like that? Argue.
argue,
Okay.
argue.
So that's our big word. We have three words together: we shouldn't and argue. So we shouldn't, that would sound very small. We shouldn't argue.
We s- we s- we shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue.
Okay. Mohammed, can you say that phrase? We shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue
Okay. What about the next three words, Mohammed? How would you read those?
about something so.
Okay. And oh, actually, maybe we'll just do the next two words about something. About something.
Ab-
Uh,
about something.
about something. Any big sounds in there?
About
Do you think there's anything we should emphasize
about about.
about? There are some times when you would emphasize a preposition, but I think most of the time you probably won't. Those are usually words that get lost in, unless they're very special words, they usually get lost in the phrase. So something is probably in a pretty neutral sentence without a very special meaning. Probably the word you would want to focus on is something.
Okay.
Which which syllable in the word something, or which word would get the emphasis? Some or thing?
Something.
Something.
Some.
That's right. Some. When you have two words together, it's almost always going to be the first word that will get the emphasis. We shouldn't argue about something. We shouldn't argue about
We
something.
shouldn't
Something.
we shouldn't argue about something.
Something. Okay, we shouldn't argue about something.
We
Pach,
shouldn't argue
go ahead.
okay.
Sorry.
We shouldn't argue about something.
hmm We shouldn't argue about something.
We
Something.
shouldn't argue about something.
hmm Pachu, can you say that phrase?
We s- we shouldn't argue about something.
Okay. And how about the next two words, Pachu? What are those two words?
So trivial.
Okay. Can you say that again?
So trivial.
Which word do you think we should emphasize in that phrase?
So
So, okay. So is it so trivial or is it so trivial?
so trivial.
Yeah, it's really big. So trivial. So trivial.
So trivial. So trivial.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
Mohammed, can you say that whole sentence?
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
hmm We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
Okay. Mohammed, how many phrases do you think we could divide this sentence into?
I think one phrase.
Just one phrase?
Yes.
Okay. I think we could do two. I think we could separate it at about. Okay. I mean, you could make it one phrase if you want. There are no rules about this, but I think it would be good to make it two, like that, just to give us something to work with. Okay. Now, in the
Okay.
first phrase, we shouldn't argue. What is the most important word, Mohammed?
argue,
Argue. Okay. How do you want this phrase to sound? Do you want to sound serious or light and friendly?
serious.
Serious? Okay. So we'll make this completely flat. We'll make this low. Argue. But we do have to start high because you normally will start a phrase high. We shouldn't argue. We shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue.
Hmm. We shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue.
Pachu, can you say that? We shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue.
Okay.
We shouldn't argue.
What about the next phrase, Pachu, about something so trivial? What which how do you want that to sound? Do you want that to sound serious or light and friendly and nice?
Make serious.
Serious? Okay.
Yes.
So in the final part of the phrase it will sound like so trivial. So trivial. So trivial.
So trivial.
But how should you start
So
the phrase?
trivial.
How will you start it?
Is a high tone.
Okay. About something so trivial.
About something so trivial.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
Okay, Pachu, is it argue or is it argue?
Is argue. I have
Uh,
to do it in opposite direction.
but if you wanted to sound positive, if you want to sound positive, it would be the opposite. It would be argue, not argue,
Yes.
but the opposite.
Yes.
Argue. You can do that if you want. Argue. We shouldn't argue. You can do that.
We shouldn't. Yeah. We shouldn't argue.
No, you see, you're doing it. You're still going argue, but it's
Okay.
the opposite.
Sorry.
It's argue. Fall down, not.
We shouldn't. Okay. So we shouldn't argue.
You're still doing it. You say
So
argue.
we shouldn't argue.
Argue. Argue.
Argue.
Ar.
Argue.
We shouldn't.
Argue.
We shouldn't argue.
We shouldn't argue.
That's better. To say the whole sentence.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
Is it so trivial or so trivial?
So trivial.
That sounds better. It sounds more natural if you do it like that. So trivial.
So trivial.
Hmm? We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
We shouldn't argue
Ar-
about something.
Not argue. Argue.
Argue.
Argue.
Argue.
Hmm.
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
That's better. That's much better. Mohammed, can you say the entire phrase?
We shouldn't argue about something so trivial.
Mm-hmm. Mohammed, can you make a what we argue about question? Do that in the present progressive. What we argue about. Do that in the present progressive.
What we are arguing about.
Okay, present progressive. We are arguing. How do you make a question? A yes no question with we are arguing. How do you make a yes no question?
What are we arguing
Yeah, you
about?
have to use the question form. What are we arguing about? Try again.
What are we arguing about?
Now, in that phrase, in that question, what is the most important word?
What?
What? Okay. How do you think it would sound if you combine what plus are plus we?
What are we?
What are we? What are we?
What are we? What are we?
What are we? And then we have arguing about. What are we arguing about?
What are we arguing about?
Mm-hmm. Pachu, can you make that question? What are we arguing about? Pachu,
What are you arguing about?
again, tell me again. What are we arguing about?
What what are you arguing
We're
about?
saying we. What are we arguing about? What are we arguing about?
What are we arguing about?
What is the most important word in that question, Pachu?
So what
Oh, your sound is breaking up for some reason. What are we? What? What is the most important word? What are we? What are we arguing about?
what
What are we?
what are we?
What are
What
we
are we?
arguing about?
What are we arguing about?
Mm-hmm. Can you make that question again, Mohammed? What are we arguing about?
What are we arguing about?
Let's say the answer is we're arguing about something trivial.
We are arguing
Mm-hmm.
about something trivial.
We are arguing about something trivial.
We are arguing about something trivial.
Pachi, what are we arguing about?
We are arguing about something trivial.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that we have to stop here for today. And
Thank you, sir.
I think I'll be back in about 9 hours to do another one. So if you want to come back and practice again, that would be what, like 6 a.m. Mexico City time. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you
Okay.
everyone for participating and making comments and asking questions. And hope you come back the next time. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Bye bye.